I asked ChatGPT to predict the upcoming championship season, and it's come up with some interesting shouts. In today's video, we're going to be going through ChatGPT's prediction, and I'd be interested to know from you guys, do you think they've been kind to your team or a little bit too harsh? 500 likes on today's video would be massively appreciated, and if you're not subscribed already, make sure to go ahead and hit that button. But without any further ado, let's just jump in. Oxford United are the bookies' favourites to go down right now, and ChatGPT also has them finishing in 24th place, predicted to pick up just 40 points all season. When I asked ChatGPT for a reason they had Oxford dead last, they said Oxford United could find the championship level challenging, making them a likely candidate for relegation. 23rd place is a bit of a controversial take. ChatGPT's gone for Sheffield Wednesday. Now, for the vast majority of last season, Wednesday were in the bottom three, but it was a miraculous recovery in the end. Great form in the second half of the season, and I'm not sure I can see them finishing 23rd this time around. Predicted only to pick up 42 points. I think that's 13 points worse off than they finished last season. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that shout. Another big shout here, they've gone for newly promoted Portsmouth to finish in 22nd place, accumulating just 44 points all season. Now, going off the latest bookmakers odds, they've got Portsmouth as the most likely side of the three newly promoted clubs to survive in the championship this season, but ChatGPT doesn't quite see it that way. Just avoiding the drop then with 46 points, ChatGPT's gone for Derby County, so got all three of the newly promoted clubs in and around this region of the table, but only one of them surviving, and that's Derby. Slightly above them, it's Plymouth Argyle, who are predicted to pick up 48 points by ChatGPT's estimations. A few people it feels right in Plymouth off right now, obviously, with Wayne Rooney coming into that job at home park for this upcoming season. When describing the teams around the relegation zone, ChatGPT said teams like Plymouth Argyle, Derby County and Portsmouth might struggle to find consistency, placing them closer to the relegation zone. I think every QPR fan is hoping that the club is able to kick on in this upcoming season, but ChatGPT's actually got them regressing one position, back down in 19th. Last season QPR had their struggles but still managed to salvage a finish of 18th in the end. This time ChatGPT's got them 6 points worse off and one place further down the table. It felt like Cardiff made huge strides forwards last season under Errol Bullock, but ChatGPT thinks that they might come back down to reality in this upcoming campaign. They've got Cardiff all the way down in 18th with just 52 points. Have to admit, I think Cardiff have done some pretty tidy business during this transfer window so far, and I mean, if I had to call it right now, I think that club would more likely be looking up the table rather than down it. But hey, ChatGPT's got its own prediction. Coming in 17th place, it's then my club, Preston North End, only predicted to pick up 54 points, which would only be good enough to see us finishing in 17th, according to ChatGPT. A finish of 17th would be the lowest Preston have ever finished since we were promoted back to the championship. We are year in year out finishing middle of the pack in the championship. I think it's what most North End fans are expecting from next season, but ChatGPT thinks we could be a little bit worse off. I think we can all agree that going into next season, Hull City are one of the most unpredictable sides in the entirety of the championship. They've sold, obviously, a lot of their big players from last season in the likes of Jaden Philogene and Jacob Greaves. All their loanees, apart from Ryan Giles, have returned to their parent clubs as well from last season. So while there's a lot of potential with Hull City, there's also a lot of unknowns as well, and ChatGPT thinks they could have a bit of a fall off next year, going from playoff challengers to 16th in the championship. We saw Bristol City ending last season on a decent run of form, but generally speaking, they have been that sort of middle of the pack championship side for the last few years now. Do have a feeling that a long-term project is building under Liam Manning right now, but whether or not they'll have the consistency to mount a top 6 challenge next season, I'm not so sure. ChatGPT thinks it'll be another middle-of-the-pack campaign for them, finishing in 15th with 58 points. Arguably the most bold prediction made by ChatGPT so far is having Luton Town to finish all the way down in 14th place on just 60 points. That would be a really underwhelming campaign from Luton's point of view. Luton were the best performing of the three sides that have come down from the Premier League. The bookies think they'll be in the top 3 at the very least, going off their end of season promotion odds right now, but ChatGPT doesn't share that opinion. I think every Stoke fan would take this sort of finish predicted by ChatGPT. It's got them up in 13th with 62 points. I think steady signs of progress is all that Stoke fans want to see heading into this new season. There was a feeling that things started to fall into place at the back end of last season under Steven Schumacher, but consistently getting those results over a 46 game season has always been the problem for Stoke in the Championship. They always seem to run into some turbulence sooner rather than later, but maybe this next season is where they can establish that bit more consistency. Coming slap bang in the middle of the table, ChatGPT's gone for Millwall, finishing on 64 points. Millwall in cracking form at the back end of last season. After flirting with relegation for one portion of the season, Neil Harris came in, and what a run of form it was in the back end of the campaign. ChatGPT fancies them to carry on, but not quite push for the top 6. Also, steady improvements predicted for Swansea City as well. Got them up in 11th place, accumulating 66 points. That would be a steady improvement from last season, where they finished in 14th and picked up 57 points under Luke Williams. I have to admit, with everything going on behind the scenes at Blackburn right now, the lack of transfer activity up until this point, predicting them for a top 10 finish feels pretty bold at this stage, but to pick up 68 points, I'm sure every Blackburn fan would snatch your hands off for that right now. John Eustace is a steady pair of hands, but a top 10 finish for Rovers, not sure I can see that at the moment. Coventry flirted with the idea of the playoffs last season, but just weren't able to get over the line, and ChatGPT has predicted a similar sort of campaign for Coventry. It's got them in 9th, but it's got them to pick up 6 more points than they did last season, finishing the campaign on 70 points, but that would only be good enough for a finish in 9th place. Does feel like everything behind the scenes is building in a nice direction for Coventry. The overall atmosphere within the fan base is very good. There's a real feeling of harmony at the moment. Recruitment, I think, has been pretty good in recent seasons as well. Absolutely no reason why they can't aim for higher than that next season. They've got Watford up in 8th place, accumulating 72 points. I'm sure every Watford fan would take a guaranteed 72 points heading into next season. Quite a few uncertainties with that club, obviously. Tom Cleverley still finding his way in the managerial game, and it's not yet completely clear what quality he'll actually have to work within that Watford squad. A few of their big hitters have been linked with moves away in recent weeks. Just to miss out on the top 6, ChatGPT has gone for Sunderland, picking up 74 points. Now that would be a drastic improvement on last season, which, let's face it, was a bit of a write-off for the Black Cats. It was a mess from the moment they sort of got rid of Mowbray. The experiment with Mick Beale didn't go to plan whatsoever. Injuries accumulated in the second half of the season, and post January, February, they just had nothing to play for, did they? Last season, 74 points would have been enough to get you a place in the top 6, but ChatGPT thinks the threshold for the playoffs might be a little bit higher this season. And coming in as that first playoff finisher, ChatGPT has gone for Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough, accumulating 78 points, which would be good enough to get them a place in the top 6. Borough's form definitely started to pick up in the final few months of last season, but ultimately they just left themselves with a little bit too much to do in terms of closing that gap between them and the top 6. But with the right additions this summer and a fully fit squad heading into the new campaign, I think there's a very good chance they finish in the top 6 next year. Coming in and claiming the 5th spot, ChatGPT has gone for Chris Wilder's Sheffield United, accumulating 80 points, and they're a bit of a wild card. It still feels like heading into next season, Sheffield United, really mixed reviews on them right now from a lot of different people. Some people think they might struggle to scrape a finish in the top 6. Others I've seen predicting them to be in a relegation scrap this year, and other people thinking if all their signings come off, they may be a challenger for automatic promotion as well. One thing can be almost guaranteed, I think Blades fans will have a hell of a lot more fun this season than they did last year in the Premier League. Is it going to be back-to-back playoff finishes for Carlos Corberan's West Brom side? Well, ChatGPT thinks that might be the case. They've predicted West Brom to pick up 82 points throughout the campaign and improve improve their position by 1 place going into next season. Not quite sure what the makeup of that squad will look like heading into next season. Rumours about a few players who could depart in the next coming days. We'll have to wait and see how strong that West Brom side is looking like come the end of the transfer window before we can make any proper definitive calls on the midfields. Big call here, they've got Burnley to just miss out on automatic promotion. Scott Parker's Burnley predicted to finish in 3rd place by ChatGPT, accumulating a total of 85 points. I think it's fair to say the overall reaction to Scott Parker arriving at Burnley has been pretty polarising from the overall footballing world. But if you're looking at it from a black and white perspective, Parker already has 2 promotions on his CV, and let's face it, he's walking into a Burnley squad who definitely have one of the most talented sides in the league. But is this Burnley side as good as the team that was promoted from the Championship last time? Not so sure. Every single Norwich City fan would be absolutely buzzing with this finish, I'm sure. ChatGPT's got them to finish in 2nd on 87 points. They made the playoffs last season, but was a bit of a topsy-turvy campaign for the Canaries, all things considered. Felt like for a lot of the season they were sort of playing with the handbrake on. And do you know what? There probably is a bit of a sense of optimism for Norwich going into next season. I'm excited to see what Johannes Thorpe can bring to that side. As of recording, they've still kept hold of most of their big hitters. Josh Sargent's still a Norwich player, so's Gabriel Sara. A finish of 2nd place would be absolutely mega for them though. But coming in and winning the Championship, even ChatGPT thinks Leeds United are going to do it this season, finishing on 90 points, which this season would be enough to get them over the line and in 1st place. What's interesting is Leeds finished last season on 90 points, and that wasn't even good enough to get them a place in the top 2, but I think most of us think the threshold for automatic promotion next season will be a little bit lower than it was last year, which was a bit of a freak season with how good the sides at the top of the Championship actually were. Daniel Farke has a history of getting Championship teams promoted in his 2nd season at the club. The bookies have got Leeds as the Championship favourites right now, and ChatGPT also has them finishing 1st as well. There you have it though, guys. That will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. This video was just for a little bit of fun, but I'd be interested to get some of your views on it down below. Come the end of the season, I'm quite interested to see just how accurate those ChatGPT predictions were as well. But apart from that, thank you very much for tuning in, guys. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, and I'll see you all in the next one.